No, but certainly it is a concerted selling activity that we've seen in gold on Friday. Friday's open, we saw 100 tonnes hitting the gold market just on the bang of opening of the New York Futures Exchange, followed by a further 300 tonnes 2 hours later. 400 tonnes to absorb in just a few hours is an awful lot for a gold market which only produces, what, 2,500 tonnes of gold a year. We saw the same thing again on Monday.
We can assume that the weak short positions out there have been flushed out in no time at all. Do you get the sense that real money, big money, is behind this move and really starting to liquidate their gold positions? I'm thinking, for example, ETFs.
There are two markets out there primarily. You've got the futures markets, which is really the world of speculators. You've got wonderful gearing in there, 20 to 1. So to buy or to sell gold, you've got that wonderful dynamic, that wonderful leverage. The world of ETFs is very much more not the world of speculators, but the world of investors. They're the long-term players. Now, the short selling on COMEX prompted a massive fall on the futures exchange, hoping to replicate it onto the investment community on the ETFs. Now, we did see some selling on the ETFs, relatively modest, about 9% or so. So what we're seeing is that the longer-term investors, the pension funds, for example, who've got 10, 15, 20-year time horizons for their investments, have not budged their positions. They're sitting in and holding tight. They believe the gold story and they're sitting with it.
We haven't mentioned central banks yet. They're huge holders of gold and have been building up their positions in the last few years, especially
Absolutely.
since the crisis. Do we get the sense that central banks have been part of this selling as well, or not?
I'd be very surprised if it were the case. But on the subject of central banks, it was suggested that the possibility that Cyprus would have to be forced to sell its gold reserves, they hold 14 tonnes of gold to cope with the deficit that they're now running, may have precipitated a part of the decision to go short gold. Now, 14 tonnes is a very small amount in the scheme of things. Just to remind ourselves, central banks were sellers collectively of about 400 to 500 tonnes a year in the early 2000s. Today they're buyers of about 400 to 500 tonnes, a swing of close to 1,000 tonnes. Cyprus doesn't really register on that scale as a potential seller, but it has put the thought in people's minds that if they're forced to sell, who could be next?